Y'all need to help Stephen Phillips out over there. Out the door and off the radio.
Here's Stephen Phillips.
All righty, folks, back with us, mega superstar, author, you name it, and the guy that keeps you listening to Fox News all the way from New York. Dion Baia, how are you, brother?
Good. How about yourself? Happy Thursday. How's everything?
Man, it is good. It is good. How's everything in New York City going right now?
It's okay. Weather's starting to get a little crappy out. It's starting to get a little warmer, so I know that heat's going to be coming soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be terrible, I think, with the, the summer. I think it's going to be a real hot summer.
Yeah. Does it get hot in New York City? I mean, I figure up north it wouldn't be too bad.
No, it does. It does. We get the humidity, so it gets ridiculously humid in the July and August areas. That's when everybody just starts going crazy in cities and stuff like that because it just gets so hot. The asphalt jungle. It's like everything starts to melt almost.
Yeah. But I sent an email up there to Fox News, and I told them to move down here, but I hadn't heard anything back from them. I mean,
No, they haven't. Well, they're not answering my emails either. I send them suggestions and stuff, and they're like, "That's good. Just get back to work." So I don't get much answer either. So how are you, sir? How's everything?
Man, it's wide open. We're down here in the South, man. We're in the mountains of Georgia. The weather is 80 degrees, beautiful outside. The lake's filled up, and I've got the fever, man, just to lay around the shack. You know how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but anyway, now do you actually live in the city?
I do not know. I live about 20 minutes north of the city in Westchester. So I just live like in the county right above New York. It's, it's Manhattan, New York. Then above that is the Bronx, as they call it. And then above the Bronx is when you get into the counties, Westchester County. That's where I am.
So now your drive to work, how long does it take you to drive to work?
Well, since COVID, I've been driving to work. So it takes about 25 minutes with no traffic, but traffic is starting to get bad nowadays because everyone's getting back on the road. And we're also having this weird kind of a situation where people are now driving like it's a video game or driving like they've never driven before or like it's a Mad Max movie. So you're always taking your life in your hands every time you're on your way or back or forth to work on your commute because people just drive so heinously nowadays.
That is funny you say that because, Richard Petty said one time that he had rather be on the super speedway in a race car with no brakes as driving downtown Atlanta traffic.
I believe it.
Well,
sure enough.
It's probably true because you see a lot of these fools driving nowadays, and it's so silly and stupid how fast people drive and the insanity and the risks they take. They literally drive like they're playing a video game. So it's just getting worse, and I think it has to do a lot too with people not respecting each other and stuff, and not really caring, no frame of reference. People only thinking about themselves. So it's sad, but it can get kind of crappy.
Yeah, you're in New York. That's where all the mean people live up there anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, when it gets hot up there in New York, do the people open up the fire hydrants and let the water out and play in the fire hydrants?
Yeah, in some places they will do that. They will open the fire hydrants and go and like cool it off if because there's not. Some places do have access to pools and stuff like that, but if you can't go and rinse off or whatever, sometimes people will open the fire hydrant and give you more of a you can play the kids can play in the water and stuff like that. You don't see too much of that nowadays because people do have air conditioning. Yeah. But I think certainly back in the day before the advent of air conditioning, that was something just to let the kids have some fun so they'd be able to, open up the hydrant for people.
Yeah. I'd see that in Chicago. You could look down a road and there'd be like 50 fire hydrants and water everywhere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, when it's all hazy and stuff like that, and you could see the hydrants open and stuff just to cool it off a little bit.
I'll tell you what's cool, standing on the side of Lake Chateau looking at your boat out there in the water thinking, okay, folks, I'm going all the way in. That's a whole lot better than a fire hydrant. Are you kidding? Y'all a bunch of weirdos. Hey, I was telling Smitty here, he's filling in with me today, but about Geraldo promoting your book, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Tell us.
Sure.
Yeah. Your book sales went down?
Oh, well, it didn't go down, but, it's just funny. People sometimes, they don't object, but they have, they kind of take exception to what he says a lot of times about certain opinions and stuff. So he was even laughing about it, too. So he held up my book on Fox and people were like, I ain't going to buy that piece of crap and all this stuff. And Geraldo's pushing it. And I was like, oh, come on. When Dana held it up, everyone was like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to get that right now on the 5.
Yeah, well, that's
so then he held up my last book. And then that was it. People were like, I'm not reading this. I mean, haters do that. I mean, I'll get, say, Sean Hannity tweet out about me, and then people are like, I'm not going to get that crap because you're promoting. So you see, it draws all the criticisms from all the, not crazies, but people just who are like, very vocal in their opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So it could be funny.
When I tell the folks, I mean, they're really cool books. Tell them about, how many do you have now?
I've got 2 at the moment and just starting the 3rd as we speak this year now in this season. And the first one is, were screenplays. The first one was a 70s cop movie called Blood in the Streets. And it's basically like, if you like Dirty Harry, French Connection, your 70s kind of police movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's a crime thriller, takes place up in New Haven, where I'm from, in 1976. And if you like the Doors, you like good music and 70s music, 60s music, there's a lot of that in there. And then that you can get on Amazon, audiobook, ebook, or paperback.
Right.
And the last one, which came out last year, is called Moore's P.I., and that's more of a private detective, kind of like a Indiana Jones kind of Chinatown, if you like your film noir private detective slash kind of your, I guess, a superhero kind of adventure, because the point of it was to try to be like a kind of a new superhero, like an Indiana Jones character for the 21st century. So that's fun too, and they're both historical fictions. So if you like a good mystery, or you like a good thriller, or you're not turned away by sometimes the violence or whatever that happens in stories and stuff like that, that also is available on Amazon in ebook, audiobook, and paperback. I can never forget even the formats they're available in.
There's so much out there. So now, what is it? The book you're working on now? What is it? What's it going? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a private investigator or crime drama.
Yeah, this one will be a sequel to the first one. So it just picks up with the homicide detective in New Haven. It actually takes place before my first book, so it's kind of leading up to the events of the first book. So, and it has to do with a lot of the urban unrest of the early 70s with the, like the Weather Underground and those kind of radical groups like that. Those are the adversaries in the book. And a lot of times back in the, in the end of the flower power generation, people were having to worry about, bombs going off in major cities and stuff like that because of the terrorism that was going on. And a lot of people have forgotten that aspect of our lives. So the new book coming out is going to be kind of a story about that, involving the people who think they're doing good, but they're just furthering the insanity in our world.
Boy, our world has gone crazy.
What motivated you to start writing?
Well, I went to film school, and I wanted to try to make movies and act and direct and stuff. So I figured I'd do the Quentin Tarantino thing and write my way in. And then 20 years later, I've turned them into 2 books. The great John Gibson from Fox News said to me, why don't you turn your screenplays into books, because you'll have a better chance of getting them made once you get them turned into books. And I said, oh, okay. So I took a detour and spent about 10 years, turning them into books and getting them published and all that. And I'm back where I am now. And it was good. I mean, because they got me, the hookup with John Schneider, the legend, Bo Duke, to be in his movie. So, they did get me places, but it's just hard nowadays. Everything's so bifurcated. The entertainment, it just seems everything is just so split off. So, we're kind of so isolated in only our interests. So it's really hard to get eyes to look at different content. There's so much out there. There's too much for people nowadays. I feel like there's just too many shows, too many this or that, too many movies. A lot of it is crap. So it's really hard to get people to narrow down and look at specific things and get their interests more than a second. So it's hard now for independent filmmakers, and as well as writers in general, say just getting anything out there, because it's just such a crazy market than what it was even 5-10 years ago.
Well, it's the same way with music. I mean, it's just like the market's flooded, and nowadays, you got so many people that's got a video camera think that they can do a movie. And I'm gonna tell you, Netflix is losing people right and left, because and it's because their movies are terrible. I mean, it's just they're not worth watching. It's just crazy.
Yeah, a lot of times Netflix is making their own content now, specifically because they, all these other studios are realizing, hell, we have all these movies, we can make our own kind of streaming service and have them as content on our platforms.
Right.
So because of that, Netflix is losing, like the old days when everybody, would get the DVD in the mail and you'd be able to get Casablanca or Smokey and the Bandit or whatever your favorite movie is. Now you can't find them on there because they don't have the rights anymore. So you'd have to either A, get them through the mail again and get the old fashioned DVD, or B, if you stream it, you're just getting their content. So they're just they're just pooping out stuff for you, and they're putting their name on the front of it, buying stuff and putting it on there, and they don't care what the quality, or if there's any kind of artistic value or merit to it, as long as it's done and there's more content up there for you to scroll through. And that's, when we were little, we would go to the video store, or prior to that, you go to the movies and stuff like that.
Right.
And now I feel like, you sit there all night on your couch and you spend all the time trying to find what you're going to watch for, and then, by the time an hour and a half later, you settle on something, it's just too late to watch anything to begin with.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Of course,
When I think Netflix, though, I think they're losing stuff too because of
Right and left.
pushing their agenda down our throats and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
They
I'm
have an
sure
agenda
they've
and-
got,
and
people
are
get
pushing
mad
against
when you
that.
start, getting political. And especially in this day and age, I don't know why it's such a third rail getting political and voicing an opinion either way. It's just, I don't know why people end up trying to say their opinion so righteously without realizing you're going to alienate, at least 50% of your base or your potential audience. So, I prefer the old days where, you for the most part, a lot of entertainers wouldn't tell you, like Johnny Carson, you wouldn't know what his political affiliations were, and then he would make fun of both the left and the right.
Right.
So, I long for those old days.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. It's all fun, and that's kind of what I don't know. We're kind of lopsided a little bit sideways, but that's okay, I guess. But you were in the movie. I mean, you've been in all the movies with John Snyder, from Poker Run to all the way. Right? Are you in the new one he's working on now?
Yeah, that's the third one. The first one was Stand on It, which was a kind of a loving homage, a kind of a tribute to Smokey and the Bandit. And I was in that one. I was playing the sheriff's son, the great Mike Henry's role. Right. I was playing Junior.
You got the best.
Sonny.
You got the best part of the whole movie, I think. I mean, as far as the acting, that would be where I'd want to be. That looked like.
Well, I'm
fun.
the complete comic relief, So I'm just, and I always say it's not very hard for me to make myself look like an a-hole. So, I'm just, really hamming it up in those. And the first one's called Stand on It. And then last year, the second one we had come out, 2021, that was called Poker Run, which you said. And that's kind of an homage as well to the Smokey and the Bandit, but also to Cannonball Run and to all the great movies of the 70s, Gator, Hooper, all those kind of things. Right. And now, like you said, John Schneider is in production or in pre-production now for the third one, which might be very well the final, called Double or Nothing. So I think this is going to be kind of a homage to all those kind of movies. I think he called them Southern Horsepower. Those, the Dukes of Hazzard kind of a genre there, where you have, police cars chasing the good guy or vice versa, and then the cop car ends up in the creek or the crick, something like that. It's those kind of movies. Very fun, very it's kind of that nice entertainment that brings us back to the old days, family entertainment that everyone can sit down and watch for the most part. And I give a lot of credit to Mr. Schneider because he's independently financing these. He's directing them. He's writing them himself. He's starring in them. He's, for the most part, editing him themselves, and he's getting them out there. So he's kind of sticking it to the man in Hollywood and, doing his own productions out from Louisiana.
But, there's a lot of folks involved in that, which is great. We had Kevin Sorbo on the other day, and, he's doing the same thing, and he's got a lot of good faith-based stuff.
I saw you posting that. How did that go?
Great.
How was that interview?
He is a super, super nice guy. I'm supposed to have his wife on because she's very, very heavily involved with the homeschool organization, but we got mixed up and got our days crossed, which I do that a lot. But, man, he is the real deal. I mean, I was really impressed with him. I mean, first of all, you get cast. Could you imagine being cast for Hercules? I mean, you like, oh, you're the guy. We want you to be Hercules. I'd be like, wow, that's cool.
I could.
Yeah, and then they might have shot that in New Zealand, maybe, I think, or something like that. Yeah. So, to think about you getting the series, and I know a lot of series. I don't know if people know that they shoot a lot of them, especially when we were growing up in the '80s in Canada, because it was cheaper because of the tax write-offs. But if you get a series, it's one thing going to Canada, which is maybe like a 6-hour flight north or something. But if you have to go to say New Zealand or something like that, because you have to. Being Hercules, it has to look like pre-medieval land or something like that. So, being there for how many months of the year to shoot a series must have been very hard for him.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. But I mean, I like.
Yeah, I met him a couple times at Fox. He's always come off very nice.
Yeah, but
I keep a list of everybody I see and meet. As I'm miking them up because my day job at Fox is I'm the audio guy, so I usually mic up the guest or anchor when they come in the studio. So. you can always gauge a person by how they consider, the people they don't think can further them anywhere. So, if they look at us like the help, or if they look at us like, hi, how are you? It's sometimes it's very nice to just get somebody who's down to earth, friendly, ask you hello, shakes your hand.
So who are some of the guests that stand out in your mind? Who are some of those guests that you really appreciate?
Well, prior to even anything, people loving or hating Trump, I remember, he would come in, or his daughter Ivanka would come in, and always very nice, always saying hi to the crew and everything like that, shaking everybody's hand, BSing with everybody before we get started. They've been always nice. A whole bunch of people. I mean, I've been there longer than I'd like to say at Fox News. So I've had a fair amount of people I've met over the years, and I've had all kind of wacky situations, either good or bad, or so. It's always nice. I always try to be a nice guy no matter what, and try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt in life. So I just don't really have time as I get older now. I always try to make excuses, for if people were mean or whatever, and say, whatever. But everybody kind of has a cross they bear. So it's just, I guess, how we carry it in the world, and how we need more people to be loving our brothers and sisters and our animals out there, all the lesser known creatures that need our help. And I wish people would be more loving. I'm now I'm getting on a soapbox.
Oh, that's not. But that's the thing. You got some people that that I've had on here that talked about different actors, which they don't talk about it out in public. But anyway, when they're with them and they're co-hosting, they're like, don't look him in the eye, don't talk to him, don't do this, don't do that. I don't want to be around somebody like that. I mean, that's not, as my daddy said, that ain't my kind of folk. I like somebody just because, regardless if they're super mega rich or if they're famous or whatever, they're just people. They put their pants on like everybody else.
I guess it's just hard because, I do get it for, if you're someone like Sylvester Stallone, say, and everybody since 1975 or 74 has been wanting to meet you. You can go to China and be in the in the jungles of China, and somebody would still recognize you. You can't go out and get a milk or go for a jog or go get a pack of cigarettes or whatever without somebody recognize you. That must be hard, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week.
Right.
You might get sick of that. So I could see people, once in a while, okay, please, sure, and sometimes it's hard. People, everybody, getting everybody lining up and wanting to meet you and like that. I guess it could be overwhelming sometimes, especially when there's not a 9 to 5 time for it. Anytime you're around, if you're that mega famous, like a Michael Jackson used to be or something, everyone sees you and is screaming and yelling and running for you. I guess it could jade you a little bit, but my philosophy has always been, for the most part, to try to be nice to people and, be nice back. And when I go down to Bo's Extravaganza, we just had one about a month ago in Louisiana in Holden. John did the third and maybe the last Bo's Extravaganza. Right. We had a great turnout there and all that. And he was doing a lot of the stunts for the crowd that he ends up filming for the movie. Those were kind of the first shots we got. John jumped the Charger, his own.
That was beautiful.
Geez, I forget. Over 150 feet. He did some insane jump, and it was fine. If people go look, you could see he posted the jump online, did the stunt himself. Mm-hmm. But we had a great turnout there, and it's just so surreal to go down there and have people want to, meet you and shake your hand, take a picture, get an autograph, or in my case, buy a book or whatever the heck, and, BS with people. It's very humbling, to see people who want to bother to talk to you or know who you are and want to just, chat with you for a couple minutes. It's very fun.
Dion, we've got to get to a break, and I know you, man, and I'm going to tell you, folks, this guy right here is really the real deal. He's a lot of fun, too, and his books, you need to go check out his books. Tell them where they can get these books again. Tell them the name of it before we get
they're both on Amazon, and if you don't read, too, if they're audio books, too, so that's always good for the go if you're going to drive or if, you're exercising or whatever the heck. Blood in the Streets is the police book if you like, great gritty crime, stuff like that. And the other one is Moore's P.I., which is the kind of 40s private detective, World War II intrigue. If you like yourself, your Indiana Jones movies, your Batman, Tim Burton, Jack Nicholson Batman movies, I think you'll really dig it. And it's, fun for everybody out there. And if you like podcasts too, I have a podcast called Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers where we discuss movies, and that's very fun too. And you can get that wherever podcasts are sold. And I know we're running out of time, but my last thing is I'm working on right now a thing called The Strange Occurrence Out at Fort Courage, and it's going to be an old-fashioned radio play that I'm co-starring and directing. That's going to be out next week. That if people, I guess, come and follow me on the social medias, you'll see a link to. And we did an old-fashioned hour radio play that I've been editing and directing for 4 months, and which is just consumed my life. How hard it was to add in sound effects and all that kind of thing. But it's the old-fashioned kind of a suspense kind of a radio
War of the
show.
Worlds kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. One of those old, the theater of the mind. I think that's a really forgotten art, the old radio show. So, me and a friend of mine did, he produced it and we put it together and we did an old fashioned hour-long radio show, a thriller, kind of a horror thriller, So it's called Strange Occurrence Out at Fort Courage, and it'll be out next week. If people want to follow me on social media, you'll certainly see a link for it up if you want to go listen to it.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll upload this video here and put a link to that too in that. But Dion, man, I appreciate you, especially on such short notice, man.
Oh, no, Stephen, always a pleasure. Thank you so very much. And thank you very much, sir, as well. Have a great day. Happy Thursday. Be well.
Make them sound good up there, brother.
I will. Thank you, sir. Be well.
All right. Thank you for spending a little time with us. And remember, you can tune in every morning at WJULradio.com at 8 a.m. Eastern. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook, The Morning Dish.